And we're live. Okay, welcome to a Pilots Podcast. My name is Eric from Eric Tries to Art. I'm here with a co-host of mine, Mr. Ryan Sweeney. How are you doing, Ryan Sweeney?
Huh?
Just gonna leave you on. Damn, kidding me? How are you doing?
I'm good. What's up?
You good? You good? Sweet.
Yeah, I'm good.
I feel like we're going to be even better because it looks like we've made a date to go see Scott Stapp in Durham, where in North Carolina are we going to see? Carrboro? Is that what it is?
Yeah, at the Cat's Cradle, yeah.
You know what? I think I could make the 7-hour trip for that. I think that would be worth it. I
mean, if you really want to smoke up some meth with the voice of Creed.
Only if I can smoke it out of a vape. That's like how you know what I'm starting to realize. I didn't really pay too much attention to Scott Stapp except when he, made terrible music and then got in a fist fight with 311 at a Baltimore hotel on Thanksgiving of all days. Like those are the only times I've really paid attention to him. And then maybe when Daily Show made fun of him that one time, that was pretty sweet. I think that was Rob Corddry. Anyway, well, they when is the? Oh, no, I'm starting to realize he really is just like he thinks of himself as the classy redneck. That's why he would smoke meth out of a vape. I feel like that, yeah. Like he's got a Confederate flag fedora somewhere in there, I bet. For those of you who don't know, he's the lead singer of Creed. And I guess he's doing a tour in January and is coming to North Carolina. And in this particular Facebook event, January 18th, Scott Stapp at Cat's Cradle, a group of people decided to hijack it and just start endlessly mocking Scott Stapp, which is just a fantastic thing that Ryan showed me. And since it's not till January, if you want to go, that's the plug for today. If you want to go for the Scott Stapp concert online, you can go to their official. Oh, that's poor Cat's Cradle. That's a great venue. But poor them.
It's very out of character for them to book this kind of show.
It's gonna sell out. It's money. It's whatever.
Will it?
But like this, no, but I'm saying the Facebook event. I'm sure it would. They were.
I feel like he had to pay them. I feel like he had to pay them.
I don't think so. They were a huge band. But look, no, dude, seriously, look. But here's the thing: the event page is made by the venue Cat's Cradle. So like, this isn't just like the band. This is just the venue straight getting fucked with, and it's pretty funny. All right, anyway. So today we're going to talk about the pilot for the league. We may or may not be joined by 2 or 3 other people. I'm just really starting to worry about all my comic friends because they, ever since they started doing well, they have had a harder time getting up in the morning, and I think that's because of their rambunctious evening activities. Like, for instance, last night I had some iced tea, and I went to bed at a sensible hour. What did you do last night, Ryan?
I went to see John Hodgman and his one-man monologue. Well, that's one-man monologue. Yep.
6-man monologue.
His monologue, Vacation Land, which was a fantastic. It was almost. I expected a little bit more stand-up. It was more of a storytelling with vast wit interlaced. It was phenomenal. It was hilarious. I recommend. Yeah, I think the tour is. I think last night was the last night of the tour, so you're gonna hear this.
Go fuck yourself, everybody.
You can't. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, point is, you're not like getting fucked up in an after-hours bar.
I went to bed very late at the late hours of 11 p.m.
All right, beautiful. All right, so let's talk about the league. This is one of, in my opinion, one of the greatest pilots I've ever seen. In fact, it's a big reason why I wanted to start this podcast. Because I wanted to talk about like a pilot like the league. It just was
because you want to feel justified about being in a league, and this is the show that puts you in the place that you're at right now, which is a very sad state.
6-0 in all my leagues? No. So check it out. Listen.
Was that a brag? Was that a brag about something that is basically D&D for jocks?
Yeah, I'd play D&D if I had time. Probably. I probably wouldn't. I don't really like the fantasy aspect of it. I like the strategy aspect of it. Well, here's this is interesting. So the league, let's talk about the impact of it. The league has brought a whole new group of people to fantasy football in comedy fans, which is not necessarily a group that would have been into it in the first place. Is your thing work, Pat? Pat's joining us.
I'm back.
Oh, that's way better. Okay, so we just jumped right into talking about the league, and Ryan started making fun of me for playing fantasy football, and that brings me to another point of there are fans of the show that have no interest in fantasy football or football, period, which is both of you, and was me for about 5 seasons of the show, or 4 seasons of the show. Which to me is really interesting how you can like this show that's about something, it's about something that's about something that neither of you care about, but the show still holds on.
My parents love this show. I get them hooked on it.
I thought you were going to say you for a second, but that can't be true.
No. My parents love this show now. And so that's just kind of another example of how far-reaching this show can be for those non-football fans.
Yeah, and I was kind of slow on to getting to it because I thought that for the longest time that it was just a how-to on fantasy football. Like, we're going to talk about the latest tips for this week's fantasy football picks. And I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Well, so that's really interesting. Plus, they have a whole other subset of their fan base, which are people who don't really get into comedy as much, but maybe huge football fans or fantasy football fans, which is really interesting to hear the I almost said the band, the stars of the show talk about their fans and how, in some ways, they're like, oh, it's great. They're these, comedy fans who can talk football with us, and then they're also like, they're dumb jocks who like to sack tap us when they see us in public. And like Jason Mantzoukas, who plays Rafi, is like, I hate our fans. I hate them so much. Like they think that they can just act like Rafi around me, and that's just going to be okay. Like that's not. Okay, well, so let's go into the casting of it before we get into the episode itself. The casting, I mean, it's insane. The fact that, these are all, none of these people, from what I could tell, came from any kind of sports background. You had, see, I'm trying to dance around whether I'm going to make 9/11 truther jokes about Steve Ranazizi.
Do so.
Because recently, actually, this is fine, because I know you guys don't listen to my fantasy football podcast, so I can repeat this one. This is, I don't know how to make this a bit or a joke, but I think there's something here. Because, so Steve Ranazizi went on Mark Barron's podcast years ago and talked about being at the Trade Center on 9/11, and later on, very recently, recanted it and was like, oh, it wasn't true, I'm really sorry about that, I was dumb. I was young and dumb. It's like, you were in your mid-30s. I don't know what to tell you. But he's also, and in doing so, he got fired from his job as spokesman of Buffalo Wild Wings. Now, I don't know if you remember, but B-Dub-Dubs had a commercial campaign prior to him where the whole thing was like, oh, the game's about to end, and then at the bar, someone's like, I wish this party wouldn't have to end. And so then, the waitress would, press a button on the bar, and it would make the ref, throw the game so it would go into overtime, and everyone would cheer because the game is still going and everyone's partying. Well, there's got to be some kind of Buffalo Wild Wings truther conspiracy theory in there with Steve Ranazizi. There's got to be some way to tie that, and I'm just having trouble figuring out how.
It shows.
Yeah, fuck you. Okay, so
think about it, man. Yellow flags don't fly at that speed.
That's what Dan Shiraki on the Fantasy Cast, I forgot he said this. He said Buffalo Wild Wings hot sauce can't melt steel beams.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I hire all funnier people than I to be on my stupid podcast. That's why you guys are here. All right, but going down the list, you have Nick Kroll, who is great stand-up, and I mean, we didn't know this as much at the time. I mean, I guess we could from his stand-up special, but he does a lot of characters. So my first introduction to Nick Kroll was I'd see bits of him doing kind of snarky stand-up. And so then when I saw him do Ruxin, I was like, oh, he's just being himself. He's just kind of like a grumpy guy. He's very cynical, whatever. And then I heard him talk at literally anything else. And his voice is completely different. His tone is – he's just this happy-go-lucky, kind of goofy guy. Just the polar opposite. And then I was like, oh, he's a good actor. I did not realize that. He really in all his characters, a lot of time he's just going, you know, full steam ahead into this wacky character, and that's very different than Ruxin, which is a very reserved character, and there's a lot of subtleties to it. So I think that's really cool that they found a guy who does this role perfectly, even though you'd never expect it. And then you got John LeJolet, who was just doing like comedy music on YouTube, got himself some theater shows, and that's why if you notice early in the first couple seasons, they had him doing a lot more music stuff, and I think that was their way of trying to bring in his YouTube fan base to the show.
Didn't he do like a song an episode?
I don't know if it was that consistent, but he definitely did like a lot of songs. I
wish that continued through the rest of the seasons, but
what was each of your favorites taco song? They're all so great.
They really are. My favorite wasn't necessarily a taco song; it was a taco video.
Yeah.
Which was it was when he was the notarizer. Don't terrorize, notarize.
Don't hide your thighs.
I love the evolution of Taco's character from just kind of insignificant stoner to now this like epic pimp overlord of the EBDBB&B.
Well, I also like how and this is getting to character development, but I also like how he's now somehow, probably because of the Flowers for Taco episode, where he accidentally doesn't die, and he's smarter than everyone.
Which was the same night was the
Flowers for Charlie. Always Sunny. It was back-to-back episodes. I could not believe it. And
both of them were fantastic.
My wife had never read Flowers for Algernon, so when I saw the League episode, I forget which one I aired first. I think it was League, like of the night, because they were back to back. And I was like, oh, that's funny. I bet this episode's called Flowers for Taco. We look it up. Sure enough, it is. And then as we were looking it up, we were on the guide, and the next episode was called Flowers for Charlie. And I was like, there's no way, dude. Like, that's crazy. That's really, really funny. Well, I like how, because of that episode and a few other things, it kind of established Taco later on as the guy who can call everyone else out on their shit. Mm-hmm. Like, he has these, and that's what I thought was so great about the Rafi character, who I know doesn't come into you, but they both have flashes of insight. They're lunatics. Like, Taco's dumb, Rafi's insane, but they both have these weird flashes of insight, like when Rafi's at the party in the second episode that he's in, and he's like, yeah, I'll crap the booze out. Crap the booze out? Yeah, I'll just have a bunch of drinks. Tell me 20 minutes before we go. I crap the booze out, and I'm good to go. And Pete goes, oh, does that work? And Rafi goes, kinda.
Rafi was easily my favorite lead character.
Yeah, it's not even close. Jason Mantzoukas, and you know what? I'll bring him up before I go to the rest of the cast list. Okay. Jason Mantzoukas is an older guy. Like, I got to see how old he is now. Like, just like you and I, before we started this podcast, Ryan, we were talking about how John Hodgman got famous so many years after he started doing, like at a pretty old age. Yeah, so Jason Mantzoukas is 42. So he was 37 when he got cast in a small bit part in season 2 of The League. So, like, and that was from what I can tell, his first big exposure. And, like, that's pretty crazy. Like, almost hitting 40, and all of a sudden he gets this job. And I think that's really cool that they managed to cast him. And I don't know, I'm sure that had something to do with, Paul Scheer being a part of
his podcast.
Yeah, the How Did This Get Made podcast, and they've been friends and whatever. Also, got to go full ADD, but that podcast is amazing. And the fact that, like, the relationship that, Paul Scheer does it with his wife, who's been in a few episodes of The League, the fact that they do it together is great. But the relationship that his wife, June Diane Raphael, has with Jason Mantzoukas is amazing chemistry. The two of them they bounce off each other so well. Anyway, okay, so going back, so let's look at Paul Scheer. We have a dude who starred, I guess,
basically you.
Yeah, damn it. So there's a line in The League that I relate to so much that I was so bummed about relating to. It's when they're making fun of Andre about when Ruxin names his team the Andre cried while watching Jumanjis. and then I think it was Ruxin quoting Andre goes, "Oh, sometimes I feel like life is a game and I don't know the rules." And I was like, "Oh my god, yes, I know. I totally feel you, Andre. I totally."
What I liked about the character of Andre is that he has remained the most consistent character from episode 1 to the latest. Like, they have done almost nothing to change his dynamic.
Tim Brady, motherfucker.
No, wait.
So,
I meant to choose Chad. I meant to choose Chad. Ocho Cinco?
yeah. Shit. Also, that's another great insight moment from Taco, where in the pilot, where they're drafting and he doesn't know anything, and he picks a running back from the CFL. Yeah, Calgary Stampeders. He's a great player. And I just love. I mean, that's from him being French Canadian, but like, or I forget if he's French Canadian or just Canadian. But I love those moments. Dude knows literally nothing about the NFL, and we just go into the whole pilot, and he's like, "Oh, he's just a dummy. He's a pothead, but he like gets laid, and that's his, whatever." But he knows things. Like deep down, this guy has a possibly encyclopedic knowledge of the Canadian Football League for some reason.
And not only that, they allude to the fact that he won that league trophy, the Shiva, at least once.
Yeah. No, I love. What's funny is, I mean, in fantasy football, they often refer to people as. What's it called? League tacos. And so your league taco is like the guy who kind of shows up. You have to force him to set his lineup. Sometimes the league taco wins.
Yeah.
Like that happens, and they represent luck in fantasy, basically.
I'm totally the league taco in anytime there's a work fantasy thing for the ACC or whatever, and they're like, hey, work league, and I'm like, all right, what did Nate Silver project on 538, and I'll just fill it out based on that. And sometimes I do really well and get second place, and I'm totally the taco, and I win.
Exactly.
Not to get too deep into it, sorry.
No, Pat, definitely, it's your turn.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say not to get too deep into it, but there are a lot of I don't know how you would put it, allegorical type characters. Like if Taco is luck, then Rafi is like chaos. That element of chaos in every game. Like, oh, your player's gonna break his fucking leg or something like that.
And that's what Rafi represents. Yeah. Oh my God. And okay, well, how can we cast what is it, the Four Humors? Is that what they're called? Like whatever. How do we cast? That would be what? Pete, Andre, Ruxin, and Kevin.
I guess like Andre is defeat. He's just like, hey man, you got to learn how to lose some games. Pete is not Pete. Kevin is stability. Those characters whose stats never go up or down; they're just stagnant throughout their entire careers. Pete is the hard climb up. The whole things are just gonna get incrementally better, and you're gonna have a drop. You're like somewhere along the line, your career is gonna go down a little bit, but you're gonna get incrementally better. And Ruxton is just that douchebag asshole player that everybody fucking hates, but everybody needs on their team.
Yep. I like that. That was great. I have compared league characters to all sorts of different I've never heard it compared to players in that way. I like that a lot. All right, so going back with the casting, Paul Scheer, who unless I'm just being a real moron here, his first big TV thing was Human Giant with Rob Hubel, who plays the sex addict, and Aziz Ansari, who plays his rival surgeon in the league. Oh, I was gonna say, if she has any insight, we'll take it.
I'm sorry, what? Oh yeah, here, let me take it off headphones. There we go. Rachel, say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Yep. Put it back on.
Actually,
headphones.
Rachel did have an insight yesterday. What did you say, hon, about the show?
Well, we were comparing it to The Office, and I think one of the things about the League pilot that I think was successful is that from the very beginning they knew who they were. They weren't trying to be anything else. The League show is the League show, so they could start up running, as opposed to The Office, where it seemed like, you know, I knew this, that they were going to make it an American version of the British show, so it was kind of a shot for shot, line for line copy, you know, and which is why the pilot, I think, of The Office was hard for American audiences to really get on board with right away, and I don't think The Office really hit its stride until the second season, where the League just kind of hit the ground running.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's why the League pilot was so good. Thank you very much for contributing. Pat, can you put headphones back on, because there's now an echo?
Oh, okay, yeah. Sure.
But, you know, and that's actually really good. We'll expand more on that as we go into how the characters changed or didn't change in the terms of how sitcoms usually run. Sorry, Ryan, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I mean, to the point of right out the gate, I mean, that first scene where Pete is talking about the opening of the season, and he's talking to all of the people, I'm like, stop, that's annoying. The dog is squeaking, if you can hear it. So he's talking to all the people in his league, and it is instantly, in that first 5 minutes, setting up these characters and defining them so well with minimal time and dialogue. You know who these people are within the first 5 minutes of the show, and that rarely happens.
That scene at the birthday party, when they're standing in the circle and we see all the characters appear one after another for the first time, you've already kind of like gotten a sense of who they are from the video at the beginning and a couple of the scenes, but the five of them talking together, you get their dynamic immediately.
Yeah.
You get every bit of it, and like going forward in the show, it stays that exact same way, and that's what we want. It's like on Always Sunny in Philadelphia, there was a commentary that Dr. Drew did with the cast, and they were talking about like what the characters would need to do. They kept asking him like, oh, what would the character need to do to get over this problem, and he goes, well, why would you want them to? We don't want these characters to get better. That's not what this is about. And that's kind of how the League is. Like, some shows, it really benefits the characters to change and adapt. But once you already have the dynamic, what we like is we like this group of characters interacting with the relationship dynamics they have. So to change that would be, I mean, I guess fun for a couple episodes maybe, but as a permanent change would just ruin the chemistry of the show. But usually the characters change and make a show better when it needs to, because it's not working. Like, they already had something so well established that it worked out great. And also, here's the other thing with casting. I'll let Pat finish.
What? Sorry, are you doing?
Machine. That's what it sounds like you're doing. What are you doing?
Trying to get a bag of cereal.
What? You don't have to bring your computer.
But then I'd miss the conversation.
This is... oh my god. That's fine. This sounds like to get a bag of cereal. Alright, so...
Are you cerealless?
Oh, dear God. Wow. Thanks a lot.
New
Andre, new Eric. Alright, so here's the most surprising casting for me, is Mark Duplass as Pete, who I guess it's hard to tell who's the main character, Kevin or Pete, but Pete kind of stuck out as the narrator.
I feel like it establishes Pete as the main character in the first episode, maybe the first season, but I feel like they've kind of, towards the later seasons, gravitated towards Kevin being the main character.
Yeah. Well, but with Mark Duplass, I've heard him referred to as the Brad Pitt of the indie film world, because he is that, like, him and his brother make independent films. I mean, with his wife who plays Jenny, Katie Aselton. I've never actually seen her last name. I just knew it was Katie something. But yeah, like, so they make, these independent films, and they've had, like, a lot of success. If you haven't seen Safety Not Guaranteed, that's the one I'd recommend of all the ones that I've seen.
And his brother did Transparent.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, I knew that they were doing
He was in Transparent.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's so but that's what blows my mind is he's a funny guy. His movies have a lot of humor in them, but this cast is so perfect for each character, and the backgrounds of everyone would suggest the opposite. It blows my mind when I see this cast and how it had to have come together. And I would love that's the short book I want to read is how they cast the League. That's it, just how they cast the League for that first pilot, or I would love to read a book on how this pilot was made. There's a lot of pilots we do that it's less about the pilot and more of an excuse to talk about the show and the impact and the history of the show. But this particular show, the pilot really, I don't know, speaks volumes to how well you can do a pilot. It's very impressive.
Did these guys read for their parts, or were these just kind of handed to them by the creators and producers? Hey, we wrote a part for you.
I don't know.
Are you eating cereal on the floor?
I'm putting the cereal back, thank you, Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm not a goddamn monster.
I was going to let you guys run with that.
Yeah. It looks like you put it back in a different place.
The problem is every time I look for League trivia, all anybody talks about is, did you know that Steve Rannazzisi was in the Trade Center during 9/11? And then, so the real victim here is me, if we're really going to look at this. I found an oral history of, they call it the oral history of the League, but it's just an interview. So, never mind. This is stupid. That sucks. I was going to say, I should know this information if it's out there and easily accessible, because this is stuff I read about all the time. Well, so jumping into the pilot, not that we haven't so far, at least, but as you guys mentioned, they really do establish the characters right away, and then when there's the first scene with all of them together, they establish their relationships right away. And that leads into, if we're blocking this as how we're if we're looking at it okay, what's the outline of the pilot? What do we want to accomplish? It's okay, step one, we want them within minutes to get exactly what's happening, who the characters are. Then within a few more minutes, we want to get their relationships, and then we want to get their relationship with fantasy football. And so they do that by showing a couple of things. They show them trying to essentially predatorize a 9-year-old because he's good at fantasy football.
Because he's got an encyclopedic knowledge.
Yep. It was as they put it, his testicle-free knowledge. He has no wife, no kids, just pure fantasy football. Dude, he just licked that hot dog. Okay, so so then we jump to another scene where, of course, Kevin is neglecting to film his brother singing to that song I love, by the way. That's one of
that's fantastic. It starts off so innocent and ends.
But then he keeps panning the camera over because he's trying to catch the conversation about fantasy football. So he clearly is choosing fantasy over family. Then there's the next scene where both Kevin and Ruxin essentially put their jobs on the line over a fantasy football trade and put a guy's freedom in the balance over fantasy football.
And back to the party.
Yeah. And how they make the game.
Yeah, and how they do the pick order based on the kids racing, and how both Jenny and Kevin are rooting for not their child,
not their kid.
Because we do establish that Kevin's wife, who's not in the league, is essentially runs his team. But it's also that dynamic between the two of them. They establish within 2 lines, which is, did you just turn this into a league event? You bet your ass I did. Awesome. Who are we rooting for?
Number 7. Oh, good.
You're perfect. We get it. That's all. It's so. Trey Parker always talks about the way he shortens South Park scripts is, and I'm probably going to butcher this. It's not a joke, but I'm forgetting exactly which conjunctions he used. But it's turning buts into and thens, or therefore turning buts and thens into therefores. I think is what he says. I could be mixing up a little bit, but the point is, you take all these things where it's okay, this happens, but this happens, so this happens. And he wants it to go from that to this happens, and therefore this happens. So it's you're skipping steps, and you're just making it as concise as possible. And this pilot does that in spades.
They really do.
So yes.
You also notice how they start off in what is their 5th year of doing the league.
Yes, I love it. And they have a slight history. And did you know, I don't know how people figure this out, but in my vigilant research in this show over the years, that Andre was not a part of the League in the first season. Not of the show, obviously, but of the League. He joined the League in season 2, which to me makes and this might be from deleted scenes. I actually don't. This is one of the few TV shows I'm obsessed with that I don't own the DVD and watch all the special features on. But like there was so that makes so much sense because they all went to high school together. Obviously, the other guys have a stronger connection with each other than him. He was probably the tag along in high school. And then they go to college. They went to a different college than him. He went off and got his medical degree and was doing his own thing. And they probably needed a 12th and said, "Hey, who's that hanger-on who we can probably just beat the crap out of and make fun of all the time?" And I would bet that in season 2 of the League, not the show, that that was probably him coming back into the friend group in addition to joining the League. I bet that too. And I think that makes so much sense with the character looking at it like that. And I would bet that was also prepped ahead of time, assuming the trivia site I read it on knew what they were talking about. But yeah, so no, they jump into the 5th season. They have a history. They're like, we feel like we're going through the motions with them. But here's what I always like to do when I look at a pilot, which I probably should have done for the last couple of pilot episodes we did. Whatever. But this is what I always look for, is the moment where we go, why are we dropping in on their lives now? Like that, because every good pilot has that moment. And the reason why is what we get into next, which is Pete's marriage ending. That's the difference. The difference between this world that's clearly firmly established and why we're dropping in on it right now is because they're about to get divorced, and that's going to shake up the relationships. All the wives are friends with each other. We've got this guy who hasn't been single in a very long time. We have all this stuff happening to Pete, which again, like, kind of makes him like the focal point of the show. And so this pilot is hitting everything you want for in a pilot, just one after another in minimal time. If you were to ask me how long, if I didn't know better, how long that pilot is, I'd say 42 minutes. Because there's just so much stuff that happens in it, so many jokes packed in, so many scenes and so many things that progress. But it's 22 minutes or 21 minutes. Like, that's unbelievable to me. I love it. So then, I guess we jump.
I love how they one of their establishing scenes with Taco is him treat training Ellie, the daughter of Kevin and Jenny, to call Negan a whore. Treat training her like a dog.
I also, oh my god, see, this is the other thing with that pilot. There's so many quotable lines. Like, I never want these episodes to turn into just like quote fest because that's boring for other people. But I feel like this episode's the exception because holy shit, how many quotable things from like when Ruxin comes to the party and is just like, "Oh, you're free." He's like, "Listen, just because I have a baby, I'm free to roam where I please." "Oh, so you got all day?" "No, I got 20 minutes. Where's the beer?" Or no, yeah, I fucked that up. Whatever. I'm supposed to be getting diapers. I got 20 minutes. Where's the beer? No, she doesn't know I'm here. Are you kidding?
Have you tried in your life to use that line in a situation? I feel like you'd be the kind of person that
No, that's what I also love is that they show. Unlike Kevin and Jenny, whose relationship within 2 lines is clearly like, we are partners, and then you have Pete and Megan's relationship that's like they're clearly like butting heads on everything. And then you have Ruxin, where you don't even see his wife in the first episode. It's just very clear that, no, we have 2 very separate lives. Like, I am doing this, she does her thing. This baby is pretty much all that joins us. And we get that immediately. I'm supposed to be getting diapers. I've got 20 minutes. Where's the beer? Like, obviously, like, no, yeah, I'm going to get diapers. But also I think that shows that she's friends with the other wives, but she's not at the party. They didn't make that their part of the day. It's not that her friends, like one of her best friends' daughter is having a birthday party, and that is not a priority for their family. I think that also, like, it's all these tiny little things that I could be reading too much into it, and they could just be jokes that happen to work out. But I mean, the fact that they later establish all of these things as part of the dynamic of this group, I think it makes perfect sense. Like, why wouldn't they have already planned that? And if they didn't, then you know what? They made up for it, and it worked out great.
In watching that first episode, I thought it would have been funny if, like, they never showed Ruxin's wife throughout the entirety of the series. Like, she was just this phantom character that everybody just discussed off screen, you know? Yeah. And, like, they could write that as a running gag until later they just revealed that Ruxin's been divorced for, like, 2 years.
It's just this horrible tragedy. He's just miserable. Yeah, oh my god. Well, so we go to the party, and I love that Rob Hubel has a cameo in it. I know Rob Hubel, and
I
never
love that he
gets
comes back later.
Not only does he come back, I forgot he was in that episode because I was like, holy shit, it's the Prince of Persuasion.
Dude, Rob Hubel, I've loved everything that guy. Well, his tone of voice is amazing, but like. Ever since I saw him in The Other Guys, and he reads the letter from. Did you guys see The Other Guys?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg, yeah, and Will Ferrell. When he reads the note from Dirty Mike and the Boys. He's like, when they find Will Ferrell's Prius, and he's just reading it, and it's just his tone of voice hitting all those like tones of. Thanks for the F Shack. Love Dirty Mike and the Boys. Which, by the way, that homeless guy I'm pretty sure is Adam McKay, who writes all those movies with Will Ferrell. But I could be wrong. Who cares? You know what? There's internet, but we only have 10 more minutes, so let's wrap this up. So we're at the party. We see the draft. What's that? I keep saying sorry. Pete gets divorced. And just like that, apparently, very, very, very abrupt.
Yeah.
But so, and that's the other thing. We don't even see the scene where they break up. We just see Pete sigh, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Nope, it's done." And I thought that's.
You see it click. You see it click in his head when the dry cleaner lady reveals that Megan gave her his lucky. I shaved my balls for this.
Shaved my balls for this. That's a great turn. By the way, this is the one incongruity thing that bugs me. I never get bugged by incongruities. That shirt did some growing and shrinking in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That cleaning lady was not wearing the same shirt that Pete was. That was a much larger shirt. Could they not have gotten an extra to do half a line in Spanish or whatever? Like I guess it wasn't Spanish, it was English.
Broken English. Yeah,
that's what it was. And you know what just happened in my head there? I was like, do I say Spanglish? Is that offensive now? What the hell is happening? You PC, bro? So like, this is I don't know. But yeah, so that bugged me. I was like, you can't get somebody just like his size to just walk in with the shirt. Like, I feel like finding someone who's closer to his size to be an extra in your TV pilot would be easier than finding that shirt in 2 different sizes.
Yeah, actually.
All right. Anyway, I'm glad I took you down that road because I feel like we liked where we got. So, is there anything else? I mean, we see the draft. It's just and the draft itself shows how much. I don't hate to use this phrase. I love to use this phrase. How much meat on the bone is on the subject of fantasy football. Because, like, some of those episodes, like, I know recently they've kind of abandoned, well, the whole show they usually they make references to fantasy, but there's not a lot of football talk, just, like, some inside jokes and some references. But the episodes I end up really loving, even before I watched or played fantasy football, was the draft, because there were so many joke opportunities for open during the draft, and the championship. Like, those were always, like, there's a lot of, again, meat on the bone, which, real quick, I want to tell you guys.
God damn it, stop!
A slam. He's yelling at me for talking. So there's
that's the 3rd time you've said meat on the bone.
Reason I know, and there's a reason why, and I'm getting to it. But
stop.
There's
no reason. There's no reason.
There is. So last year, DeMarco Murray, running back for the Denver. No, I'm just kidding. The Dallas Cowboys. He best running back in the league, and then he got traded to another team. His backup running back, who's now the starting running back, made a reference after he got traded and was asked something along the lines of, "Oh, is the team worried about how you're going to do in the running game now that you traded away your amazing running back. And the backup running back who's starting goes, well, he just left a lot of meat on that bone. He had a record-breaking season, and his backup was like, yeah, he could have done more. And so the backup who this year is starting isn't doing very well. And a guy from the Cowboys who played, like, years ago, he goes, he was asked about, like, that whole running back situation, and he goes, Joseph Randall, the new running back, we could feed the world with all the meat he's left on that bone. He's like, we could end world hunger with all the meat left on that bone. So I've been thinking about that phrase all week. Anyway, okay, so any last thoughts on the show?
I love how Seinfeldian it is in how it approaches. Yeah, there are terms for things and how they kind of represent plausible relationships and interactions between different types of people, and the scenarios are always over exaggerated, but I feel like at some level the scenarios that they get in have an element of reality that is highly relatable to most people. I think that's a testament to some of its success, and I also love that there's no laugh track. 100%. The show would be terrible if there was a laugh track.
Well, we're actually gonna, when we do the Office episode of the pilot podcast, I'm gonna talk a lot about that and how the American version of The Office, I think, revolutionized network comedies in a way that, or even just cable comedies in a way that, like, oh, we don't need a laugh track. Like Seinfeld had a laugh track because if you were doing a show, you needed a laugh track. Like that's just how it worked.
How Arrested Development did it?
Arrested Development was like a really piss-poor show that critics hated, fans hated, like terrible ratings. That's why it deserved to get canceled. I'm fucking with it. All right, so actually, I like what you said, Ryan, about whatever you were talking about. No, with the Seinfeldian aspect. I mean, one, because like she's a low talker, he's a low talker. Like he's a high talker, he's a close talker, and all those other.
Second
terms.
Harvest. Second Harvest.
Yeah, exactly. You have all those. So with that, but also with, like you said, they get themselves into exaggerated situations, and I love this parallel with them and, like, take a show like Louis, where Louis C.K. has said, oh, yeah, these are situations I've seen, but what I do in the show, other than that isn't in real life, is in the show, I'll do the thing I want to do in real life, and then I imagine the consequences of what would happen if we did that thing. The difference with Seinfeld is that Larry David just does the thing, or says the thing, and records his reactions, kind of, because he just can't help himself. And I think that's why, like, with Seinfeld, it's probably not even exaggerated. That's probably what happened. All right, any other last... Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, or reiterate my point from earlier. I thought from start to where it is now, it's just a solid show, and the only change is that they've gotten a little more free to do what they want. They've kind of expanded beyond what was sort of started as, okay, I could see people doing this, and it's a little more, I guess, like you were saying, Ryan, Seinfeldian, in that it's a little more out there, but not beyond the pale,
Yeah,
you could still... Yeah, you can still see people doing this.
Yeah. Awesome.
How do you guys think that the series is going to end this year?
I don't ever. By the way, I turn my brain off when I watch anything. I don't let myself think about it.
I predict Rafi will win.
Rafi will colonize the moon.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Well, I mean, they're gonna have to. I feel like they're gonna have to tie up more than just who wins the league this year, but the show itself. I mean, this is its last season that we're in right now. Last season ever. So you think they're gonna kill off any characters?
Nothing. What do they have to wrap up?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nothing happened.
I feel like they're gonna go over the top at the end.
Literally nothing happened. Well, over the top, like when Ruxin won in season 2 and the sky turned black. I love it. They'll just do that. Yeah, fuck it.
Yes, who knows what's gonna happen? I don't know. See what they do with it.
What a good show. All right, well, thank you guys for doing this. You can catch all of us doing podcasts at erictries2hard.com. Don't bother following Ryan on Twitter because he didn't give a shit, apparently. You can find me at Eric Tries. Pat, you're on Twitter, are you?
I am, but only for work.
Okay, then yeah, we're not going to follow you there.
So no.
So you can follow Pat at Construction Sex Pat.
Hey, that is a legitimate business site.
Keep telling your parents that when they see the $10 monthly charges. So with
Gotta be done with that engineering degree.
Yeah, man. Engineering that pussy. All right, so we're gonna end this right now. You can find Pat's music on my Bandcamp page because he let me post it there, and on the YouTube page, both at Eric Tries Too Hard on Bandcamp and on YouTube.
I didn't let you do anything.
Well, I kind of dragged you to a studio. I commanded that you play for me. I hit record and put it online. All right. Well, I will catch you guys later. And thank you all, and peace out.
Peace.